We circle back to what I hesitate to even call it the top story of the day, but it is. Okay, it's still relevant. It's still interesting. I don't know if it matters as much now to Phoenix Suns fans, given how they've played over the last 3 weeks or so since this Jimmy Butler thing became a story. But as you heard Mitch say in Trending Now, Jimmy Butler is looking for his on-court joy, and he doesn't think he's going to find it in Miami.
What do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But I want to joy back. I'm happy here, off the court. But I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. And I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Was that edited for the time between the quick? Because that was awfully quick with that answer. Can you get your joy back here in Miami? Probably not. He was really quick with that.
A few weeks ago, Pat Riley came out and said we're not trading Jimmy Butler. And a lot of people asked me, what does it mean? I said, it means absolutely nothing. I've been around this game a long time. It doesn't mean anything when a GM says that. Most of the time, the player still ends up getting traded. But that's a message to everybody else. We're not taking a bogus offer. Not taking a bogus offer. We're not going to trade him for nothing. There's 3 scenarios here. One, you're dealing before the February 6th NBA trade deadline. Number 2 is you trade him in the summer. He could opt into the $52.4 million contract, or you could do a sign and trade with him in the summer. Or number 2, you just let it play out and he walks. That's your options. Trade him before the deadline. Trade him in the summer on either a sign and trade, or he opts in and you trade him, or play it out and he walks and you get nothing for him. You create about $13 million in cap space, but you don't get anything for him.
Yeah, and I get all that. It feels like, if I'm going to bring this one home for a second, knowing that Shams went on ESPN, it was last night or today, and said he wants out. At this point, anybody but Miami, though his preferences are still, and he listed the 4 teams, Golden State, the Suns, the Mavs, and the Rockets. It feels like the Jimmy, and I hesitate to say this because it's always fun to speculate. You know me, I never turn down an opportunity to speculate on something as fun as, maybe Jimmy Butler can come to the Suns. You call it clickbait, call it whatever you want, but it's always fun to talk about kind of the what-if scenario.
Especially since he would like to be here.
Especially since it's one of the reported upon 4 destinations he'd like to go. That being said, it feels like the Jimmy Butler to Phoenix ship has sailed for 2 reasons. Number 1, it just doesn't, it never did, but it really doesn't seem realistic that you can move Bradley Beal for Jimmy. They don't want the contract. They're not going to want $110 million worth of Bradley Beal. That's number 1. And number 2, we really have to have a serious conversation about whether this season is savable for Jimmy Butler. Is it worth it to get Jimmy Butler?
Is it savable for the Suns?
Is it savable for the Suns?
Not for Butler.
Can
the
Butler
Suns
come in and save this? Because if he's not, now you're talking about tripling down on a bet that just doesn't seem like it's going to win.
And I'm going to add something else. If Beal were to pick up his option, that 110 becomes 160.
Oh, I thought it was
Beal.
I thought it was 110 if he picked it up. No, is it? Oh,
it's 160 if he picks it up. I'm going to double check, but I think it's 160 if he doesn't pick it up.
It's 110.
It's 110. If he picks it up, I think it's 160.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then they're really not going to want that.
So he's under contract, 24-25
that's
for
this
50.
season.
53 and 25, 26. Player option 50. So it's 110.
Oh, so it's 110. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I don't know. Yeah, so it's 110.
Might be. Yeah. So that's 110, and this year it's 50. So I mean, you would pay half. You'd pay half of this year.
Yeah, everyone just assumes that he's going to pick up the player option because.
Yeah. So with this year, it's 160. Yes. But it's next year, and then the player option, $110 million.
Okay, so they're not. It's just it feels like we're spinning our wheels now when we talk about Jimmy Butler coming. Would he fix a lot of their problems? Yes. He fixed a lot of their problems.
But enough of the problems?
I don't think that's the question. I don't know. Like, we've got this great poll question out right now about, hey, how did you feel about getting Jimmy Butler and how do you feel now? And you and I kind of both agreed, I wanted him a month ago. I really don't want him now. But the vast majority of people who are responding to the question are saying, I wanted him then and I want him now. And I'm fascinated by that because I feel like the Suns' problems are so large at this point that I don't know if Jimmy Butler is going to ride in on his white horse and just magically fix everything just because he walks in the door.
If you're the Miami Heat, you don't want to take back inferior players. You don't want to take back bad contracts. You don't want to take back a bunch of draft picks that don't really help you because you don't want a bunch of second rounders. Miami likes to get back the best player in the deal, but there's nobody out there. Like if you look at Denver, I mean, Mitch, would you like to have Jimmy Butler in Denver? I mean, of course you would. But Michael Porter Jr.
Mitch is show prepping for his show.
You could, you could offer Michael Porter Jr., but the Nuggets don't have any first-round picks to dangle. And Porter's got a big salary, $38 million next season, $41 million the year after that. There's not really a great suitor out there, which is why Butler I'll go anywhere. I just want to get out of here. I'll go anywhere.
That to me is, I think, the new wrinkle to the story.
Right.
It's not even like I'm trying to fine tune this. I just don't want to be here anymore. Just get me out of here.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put a third team involved because of the salary cap and tax apron, but the options are limited. Every team in the league is above the cap except for the Detroit Pistons. They're $14 million under. Every team in the league is above the cap except for Detroit.
Yeah.
So it just becomes, it becomes a very difficult thing to do. Now, if you just wait and you're Miami and you wait it out, your only real benefit is that you'll create $13 million in cap space, but then you don't have any players from Butler or draft picks from Butler, and you don't have Butler.
Yeah, I when we were talking about Pat Riley earlier, and Pat Riley is not your garden variety NBA GM. He's very savvy. He's very smart. He's very stubborn. I'm not saying he won't move Jimmy Butler. I just don't think he'll move Jimmy Butler for a player who's making so much money in Bradley Beal, and the Suns just don't have enough picks to sweeten the pot to convince him to take on $110 million of him. Now, I know you don't want to rule that out because you don't know for sure they feel that way about that. Miami feels that way about Bradley Beal, but it doesn't make any sense. And that's the part about this Jimmy Butler story that honestly never did make much sense. Why on earth would they want Bradley Beal? And if they don't want Bradley Beal, then what the hell are we talking about? Unless you're working up a 3-team trade, and now Bradley Beal's going to have to waive his no-trade clause to go to that third team, so it's got to be an enticing enough situation for him to want to go there. They still have to want him. I feel like, one, it's not going to work anyway, and number two, as much as I think Jimmy Butler makes them tougher, and as much as I think Jimmy Butler brings that edge, and Jimmy Butler kind of fixes the Bradley Beal and Devin Booker or redundant problem because they're really
different
similar
positions.
players.
Yeah.
Now you get a different player at a different position. As much as I think that all helps, to your point, does it make them better than Oklahoma City? And if it doesn't make them better than Oklahoma City, what the hell are we talking about?
I don't know if they added Giannis if they could be better than Oklahoma City.
I mean, that's really, if that's the standard we're trying to meet here, does it make them better than Oklahoma City?
No.
And I don't think it does either. I don't think it does.
You'd have to hope that Oklahoma City gets beat by somebody else, or the projections in the bracket lines up a certain way
or
where you don't have to play them until
City
the
is
Western Conference Final, or somebody gets injured.
That they're too young, and when they get into the postseason, they're going to fold because they're not ready for the pressure of because it is a very young basketball team. I guess you'd have to kind of rest your hopes on that a little bit.
Think about how old the Suns would be.
Oh, I know.
Even if you were able to trade Butler for Beal, you're adding more.
Jimmy
Butler's
injury,
35 and a half years old. By the time the playoffs come around, he's almost 36.
Who's an injury-prone player to begin with? You're swapping out one injury-prone player for another injury-prone player.
If it's me, I'm going to ride it out with this roster. I'm not trading. I can make a minor move, but I'm not trading any assets. Not trading picks. I'm going to hold on to them. I'm going to see if this team can get healthy and then see what they can do. And if they can't win in the playoffs and they're healthy, then I've got to make some changes in the offseason.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.